P.T. Logan's 5 Minutes of Terror. Twisted, troubling tales to send a chill up your spine.
Wig. No way, are you nuts? Johnny asked. Mark adjusted his glasses, pushing them up his nose. I dare you. Johnny, I dare you to take off Mr. Donald's wig. Johnny shook his head as he raised his eyes to the teacher who was busy scribbling on the blackboard. Mr. Donald was their English teacher. He was short, always wore the same khakis and button-down shirt, and had a mustache. But the most striking thing about him was his hair. While Mr. Donald's mustache was a deep brown, his hair was almost pitch black. Not only that, but his hair had the texture of straw. Even though he clearly put considerable effort into taming it, no product on earth could make it look like real hair. Nobody in the entire school knew why he wore the wig. After all, nobody cared if you were bald anymore. In fact, Johnny's own dad shaved his head the second his hairline started to recede. It was better that way. No pretending, no being fake. But apparently, Mr. Donald had missed that memo. And it wasn't like this wig was something new either. Almost every student at Edinburgh Elementary School at one point stopped in the hallway and pointed at the old pictures behind the glass. There were various photographs of different sports teams from the school. The track team, the soccer team, even the chess club. And in them, even though some dated back 20 years, Mr. Donald could be seen smiling broadly. He looked younger then, but the one thing that was exactly the same was that wig. That ugly, black wig. Every so often during lunchtime, Mr. Donald's wig was brought up. Questions ranged from, what is it made of? Is it highly flammable? Does he wash it? But the most common one was, has anyone ever seen Mr. Donald without his wig? The answer, unequivocally, was always no. Which is why what Mark was daring Johnny to do was almost unfathomable. I'm not doing it, Johnny whispered. Yeah, I knew you were a chicken. Johnny observed his friend and the way he refused to meet his gaze. If you're so brave, then why don't you do it? Johnny shot back. Now Mark looked him directly in the eyes. You think I won't? Johnny suddenly felt uncomfortable. He didn't like the idea of taking off Mr. Donald's wig. Who cares if it was unfashionable or even ugly? Mr. Donald had always been nice to him. Nah, that's fine. Forget it, Johnny said. No, wait, you don't think I'll do it? You think that I'm a wimp? Keep your voice down, Johnny urged. I'll do it. You watch, Johnny, because I'll do it. When Mark suddenly rose to his feet, Johnny grabbed for his arm and tried to pull him back down. But Mark shook free. Mr. Donald, can I go to the bathroom? Mr. Donald, who was still scribbling on the board, grumbled something that sounded like, fine, just hurry up. Mark started to walk toward the classroom door, but when he was halfway there, he looked over his shoulder and winked at Johnny. Johnny waved his hand, trying to signal to Mark to leave the man alone, but his friend had other ideas. And while Mark was tall for his age, Mr. Donald was a short man. So, when he pretended to trip and used Mr. Donald to break his fall, his hands just so happened to land on the teacher's shoulder and head. Johnny watched in horror as Mark surreptitiously lifted the man's wig, just a little, just enough for the two of them to see what was beneath. And when Johnny saw the pink, moist, pulsating mass beneath, his heart stopped beating. I'm sorry, Mark stuttered, his eyes like dinner plates. I slipped. Mr. Donald quickly adjusted his wig, took a step back, and then observed the classroom. Johnny thought that the man would be incredibly upset, but he wasn't. Instead, he almost seemed to grin, especially at Johnny and Mark. Anybody else see that? Did anybody else see that? But as Johnny glanced around the room, it didn't appear to be the case. Everyone was just going about their day as usual, except for Mark. Mark's eyes were always magnified by his thick glasses, but now it looked like he could see the craters of the moon. Not only that, but there was a dark stain on the front of the boy's pants. Mark had wet himself, but instead of going to the bathroom to clean up, Mark just collapsed into the chair next to Johnny. He was also shaking so badly that his chair was rattling and making an annoying tap, tap, tap sound. Did you see it? Mark whispered when Mr. Donald went back to writing on the blackboard. Johnny wasn't sure what he'd seen, so he half nodded and half shook his head. I saw it. Mark's voice was barely audible now. I'm not sure what I saw. I saw something, but what did you see? Johnny asked in the same whisper. Mark, what did you see beneath the wig? Mark swallowed hard, a sound that seemed impossibly loud in the otherwise quiet classroom. His brain, Mark said quietly. I saw Mr. Donald's brain beneath that wig.
P.T. Logan's 5 Minutes of Terror. Twisted, troubling tales to send a chill up your spine.